सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सत्प्रत्ययाः किन्नु विहाय सन्तम् हृद्येष चिन्तारहितो हृदाख्यः कथं स्मरामस्तममेयमेकम् तस्य स्मृतिस्तत्र दृढैव निष्ठा मृत्युञ्जयं मृत्युभियाश्रितानाम् अहं मतिर्मृत्युमुपैति पूर्वम् अथ स्वभावादमृतेषु तेषु कथं पुनर्मृत्युधियोऽवकाशः सर्वैर्निदानं जगतोऽहमश्च वाच्यः प्रभुः कश्चिदपारशक्तिः चित्रे त्रैलोक्यं च विलोकिता च पटः प्रकाशोऽप्यभवत् स एकः आरभ्यते जीवजगत्परात्म तत्त्वाभिधानेन मतं समस्तम् इदं त्रयं यावदहं मतिः स्यात् सर्वोत्तमाहं मतिशून्यनिष्ठा Anything that one comes up with individually or collectively is laced with what Adi Shankara has aptly termed adhyasa. Adhyasa means mistake, projection. So, what is this adhyasa? Adhyasa here, very simple. Adhi plus asa. Asa. Asa hai to throwing. Throwing. Okay. And then adhi means on top of something. So, there is a throwing going on. That means there is a vikshepa, there is a personal projection. So everything is filtered through this personal projection. All the impressions, all the ideas, thoughts, etc. Until one encounters Vedanta and makes it a life's attempt, lifelong commitment to remove adhyasa. Adhyasa nivritti, the removal of adhyasa is ajnana nivritti. There is no difference between adhyasa nivritti and ajnana nivritti. Adhyasa is a baby of ajnana. Because there is ajnana, there is projection. We saw a little bit of that yesterday. So whatever one comes up with has adhyasa. Why? And Adi Shankara talks very nicely about this. It's a mix-up. He talks beautifully about this mix-up between idam pratyaya gochara. Idam pratyaya gochara means that which is a product of this cognition. This room, this body, this computer, this microphone, this Zoom, and this is all, that which is a product of this cognition. Idam pratyaya vishaya or idam pratyaya gochara, which are all the things that we are able to objectify and cognize. Then, so there are two kinds of cognitions in the world. One is idam pratyaya gochara, that which is a subject matter, that which is the object of this cognition. Then what about that cognition? That cognition is also included in this cognition. Okay. Yeah. And then if anybody asks you, what did you do in class? Oh, we talked about this and that. You can tell. So this cognition means anything that is immediately available, objectified. So then this cognition, is one cognition which I always deploy in order to have some transaction, vyavahara, with the universe. Then this idam pratyaya vishaya, this cognition, this idam pratiti, this cognition rides on another cognition. What does it ride on? Aham pratyaya, I cognition. So there are two kinds of cognitions. One is this cognition, the cognition of all objects, this cognition, this cognition, this cognition. I love this, I hate this, all these things. This is how children talk. And so this cognition, anatma, I cognition, atma. Simple. It's very, very nice to understand this. So this cognition is there, it is riding on and dependent upon I cognition. This cognition is equal to the cognition of subjects. I cognition is the cognition of, cognition of objects. I cognition is the cognition of I, the subject. So it is needless to say that if there was no I cognition, would there be this cognition? I mean, it's needless to ask this question, correct? Show some signs of life, yeah. So,
Yes.
so, so it would be a futile question, because until and unless the I is there, there is no this. This is mithya, I is satyam. So Sat Pratyayaha, which we have been talking about up till now, are all products of are all products which ride on the I cognition. So even though we say that there are these two cognitions, and they're totally different from one another. That's why we say this object and this is different from I. This and that are different from I. How can the two get mixed up? How is that possible? You may have a few things. Like what do you have? You have a house. Okay, acha hai, you have a house to stay. Whether it is rented or whether it is owned doesn't matter, but you have a house to stay, you're staying there. And that's fine. And then you say, this is the house I'm staying in. Nobody confuses the house to be themselves. I house. Anybody says that? No. You may have a dog or a cat. Nobody says I cat, I dog. But iPhone, everybody says. iPhone, what else is there? There's some tablet, iPad. And if iPad gets lost, I'm mad. This is what it is. There is so that is what we are going to talk about. But first, we have to see how ridiculous it is to mix up the two. This cognition and I cognition can never, never, never get mixed up, because because they have nothing in common. I cognition, self-effulgent, self-revealing, and this cognition is neither self-effulgent nor is self-revealing. In fact, it is dependent upon the I cognition. So, in other words, I cognition satyam, because it reveals itself all the time. This cognition mithya. Any object of this cognition mithya. It's just like trying to make friends with your shadow. Trying to embrace your shadow, become one with your shadow. This mix-up is just impossible. Any way you look at it, you don't confuse yourself for whatever you see. But yet, Adi Shankara says it happens all the time, this mix-up. That is why the Vedanta teachers are in business. That is why we have some things to do. And because this mix-up, naisargiko ayam loka vyavahara. Naisargiko ayam loka vyavahara means this seems to be a natural state of affairs in the world. That the I cognition, because of Atma Ajnanam, because of not knowing its own nature, the I cognition gets mixed up with the this cognition. And this is the cause of all problems, all fears, all difficulties, everything. This is why this mix-up has to be corrected. The correcting of this mix-up is jnana. But how does this take place? How does the I become this or the this become I? Happens. Happens. Why? Because there is a misidentification of the I with whatever one possesses, with whoever one is related to. There is a mix up. And this mix up, Adi Shankara describes it as Satyanrite Mithuni Kritya Vartante Janaha. So the Satya, which is I, and all this that are the world that I encounter. In other words, what Maharshi calls as Jiva and Jagat. The Jiva Jagat mix up is this adhyasa. Because the Jiva doesn't know it is Ishvara and it gets mixed up in the Jagat and misidentifies itself. So the what is this ahankara then? The ahankara is the agent which is the hero of the mix-up. That is the one. That is the one that is doing this mix-up. A sad ahankara, an ill-informed ahankara, a sad ahankara is behind this mix-up. Completely ensconced in the raga dveshas and not enlightened to its own nature. This is why the mix-up keeps happening, and which is the reason why it has to be removed. It starts off very innocently. Oh, I got this. Yeah, I have all these people. I have this office. I have this. Sometimes even it may not be an office. Like I'm running an NGO. That's wonderful that you're running an NGO. You're doing some NGO means non-governmental organization, some kind of a social welfare thing, the social service. Very nice. Please do that. Oh, but I'm worried. Why are you worried? After me, what will happen? It doesn't matter. Right now, you are here. The NGO is here. Have fun. Run it. No, but this is the mix-up. There is an ownership. First, it is I have an NGO, so there is a possession, there is a sense of possession, and then that possession turns into an identification. And that identification leads straight to the sorrow and anger and fear and insecurity surrounding that particular thing. And that's why when you're walking your dog on the road and somebody says, nice dog, dog doesn't say woof woof. You say thank you. You say thank you. Why? Nobody said you look nice. They said the dog looks nice. But this is the adhyasa. My dog has become what? I dog. This is a dog-get problem. Okay, this is the problem with the whole life is lived like this. The whole life is lived in adhyasa, and here Maharshi, who knows this very well, is presenting the religions of the world as an extension of this adhyasa. Religions means collective ways of looking at Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. This is a very pervasive adhyasa, and it's all a setup. First, I conclude I'm bad. First, because I don't feel good about myself. This is the first problem. The premise itself is wrong. It's like building a house on quicksand and wondering why it is swaying from left to right and why it has a sinking feeling. Well, what is the foundation? The foundation is all wrong. First, you have come to the wrong conclusion. I am a papi. I am a guilty. I am hurt. I am bad. I don't feel good. And whenever I'm in the world, I feel sad. So the world must be the cause of my sadness. Or I am wrong, and so I am sinking. I have a sinking feeling. And so, therefore, what? I need a savior. And then I have to have this, I have to have that. And even if it's not a religion, there are so many ways of life where people are committed to certain things. Body building, that becomes a religion. You keep going to the gym. You keep going, doing, I don't know what all people do. There is, in the park, I saw one person going on a machine like this. Something going up, down, all kinds of things. It's got a name also. What is it called? Elliptical. And then so you go round and round, and you don't like to think that you're going round and round, so you name it elliptical. So you feel good about it somehow. That's what it is. And then there is all kinds of other things, and there are weights. And when you see the weights, it starts with a small one to all the big, huge ones, all kept in a row. And then you just, keep on doing this and all this thing, pumping iron. This itself becomes a religion. People are totally committed to it. And then what? And then people get tired. Naturally, I mean, if you do so much exercise, how will the heart, survive? Of course, you will get tired. So then you need a drink, an energy drink made up of vitamins, minerals, and what else? There's some antioxidants and amino acids and everything. And you have to chug that. So and then there is a pre-workout drink. Okay, so that you loosen the body and everything. And then after you finish, there is a post-workout drink. And then you feel okay. Because what does the post-workout drink do? It makes you able to get up the next morning after this workout. That is its purpose. Otherwise, you will be lying there like a rag doll. Okay. And so this is the commitment. Whole life goes in this. The entire life goes in trying to. So this is what is called a jiva philosophy centered on the jiva. Then there are so many Jagat-centric philosophies. Religions are included here in the Jagat-centric philosophies. What to do with this Jagat? Why doesn't it go away? And if it is here, how to live? And then there are Jagat-centric philosophies. We should help other people. Yeah, but not at the cost of ourselves. Here you see there is a Jiva Jagat problem here. Those boundaries are difficult. Then, of course, all religions also come under the category of Ishvara-centric, philosophies. What is God? This is again coming from one's own machinations of how one tries to look for God based on one's own history. An unavailable father. Okay, God must be the greatest father on the universe, perhaps. And then God is father. Well, people are convinced. And then what? God is good. Good means what? Please define the word good. What is the lakshana, the definition of good? What is good? Good most of the time means, all the time really, means whatever I like is good. So today I found some money on the road. Oh, God is really good, because I needed that and it didn't happen to belong to anybody, finders, keepers. So I found some money on the road. Therefore, God is good. And tomorrow, one cut purse stole that money, and then what? God is bad. This is what it is. And in fact, it's the opposite of what the Bible says. The Bible says God made people in God's image. But here, we have done made that statement to a headstand. We have made God in our according to our own ragadveshas. And people are very convinced. This alone is God. That is not God. Your God is not God because you worship Vishnu. We are into Shiva. No, no, no. East or west, Vishnu is the best. Your Shiva is so gullible. He keeps giving boons to demons. What does your Shiva know? In fact, your Shiva has to run to my Vishnu for help. How many times has my Vishnu rescued your Shiva? This is madness. Subsumed under these kinds of my, and yours, and me, and then I, me, mine, then what happens? This is how this Jiva, Jagat, uh, Paramatma, what is that called? Differences come. And then these differences are sustained as long as the adhyasa is not dropped. The dropping of the adhyasa because of Shravanam, listening to the teachings, is it's very important to drop this subjectivity. And then when this subjectivity is dropped, the dropping of the subjectivity is contingent upon inquiring into what this I really is. And then what happens? Then the best place to be is to be in an objective space where you abide in a mind that is devoid of this wrong I, identified, the devoid of this misidentification with the wrong or the ajnana I, the I which is an object of ignorance. So that is basically the gist of this. Now, in the next verse, you get Ramana Maharshi gets very specific about Hindu philosophy itself. Or you can even take like people who are very introspective and look into certain philosophies deeply. And then so this is how, this is what it takes. It's an extension of what we saw earlier. Satyam risha vachididan jadam va. Satyam risha vachididan jadam va. Dukkham sukham veti mudha vivada. Adrishtaloka niraham pratitihi. Adrishtaloka niraham pratitihi. Nishtha vikalpa paramakhileshta. Nishtha vikalpa paramakhileshta. Beautiful. One more time, the whole thing. Satyam risha jadam va. Dukkham sukham va. Dukkham sukham veti mudha vivadah. Adrishtaloka niraham pratitihi. Nishtha vikalpa paramakhileshta. So these are people who are not just, people wanting to be saved, not just the general janata, not just the general population of people who wonder about God and wonder about Ishvara, Jagat, Jiva, etc. These are, fine-tuned philosophers who have made it their life's attempt to think about what this Atma Tattva or Ishvara Tattva is. What is this cause of the universe? What is its nature? This is the whole job they do. This is what they do 24/7. What is its nature? They are researchers, they are scholars. And of course, if they are researchers and scholars, what do? They argue. That's what they do. They write books. And what kind of books do they write? The book they write is, disproving whatever their colleague wrote before. And then their book is then going to be displaced and disproven by the next friend who writes the book. This is what is this is exactly what it is. So Then they pontificate. How do they pontificate? Satyam va, Mrisha va. Is there such a thing called Ishvara? Is there a cause of the universe? Or maybe there is no. Why are you so pressured to say that there must be a cause of the universe? Maybe there is no cause. Universe is accaused. Accaused, I'm using Samskrita, negation, is uncaused. Universe is uncaused. Why not say universe is uncaused? Then how can it be uncaused? Because everything has a cause. And if the universe also has a cause, then we can say, oh, okay, then it makes sense. But everything has a cause, but the universe doesn't have a cause. What kind of a situation is this? No, it is possible. Universe doesn't have a cause. Why? Because it is akasmat. Akasmat means it came suddenly when you were not looking. It just sprang up. It just sprang up. It is there, it just came. And so maybe it doesn't have a cause. There is no Ishvara, there is no such thing as cause, there is no such thing as God. Why? I find that odd that there should be such a thing as God, says one. The other one says, no, there is God. There is definitely God. The universe has a cause. Sakaranam. So the universe is sakartrikam. It has a cause, it has a maker. There is a maker. And the other one who has just finished talking says, where is your maker? Show me, please. Show me where it is. I don't see any maker anywhere. I don't see Jagat Karta anywhere. I don't see anybody here who has made the universe. And then they argue. And then what else? Then two other fellows come to the scene. All right. Let's say this is happening in a coffee shop, because this is what is coffee shop conversation. And two other fellows come into the scene. And what do they say? Chit idam va, jadam idam va. What is this cause? What is the nature of this cause? Is it jada? Is it inert? Is it inert? What is the opposite of inert? Earth. Or is it earth? Sentient. Is it sentient or is it inert? Wow, what nice Brihaspati is arguing this. And this is what it is. Is it inert? I think that the cause must be jada. Jada. This is Sankhya Mata actually. So Sankhya say this. The cause of the universe is pradhanam, and it is jada. So there might be other philosophies also outside of the Hindu philosophy. There might be other philosophies also who say that the cause of the universe is inert. It's just matter. It's just matter without intelligence, without sentience. Matter devoid of sentience. To which we have to say, it looks like you lack some matter. Whether it is grey matter or white matter is yet to be determined, but looks like you lack some matter which should be in the head. Because your thinking is all wrong. The I being self-effulgent and sentient, if you are already there and you are sentient, how can you muse that the cause of the universe must be inert or insentient? How can the sentient come out of the insentient? How is that possible? Insentient can come out of the sentient. That is a possibility. But sentient to come out of insentient, how is that possible? That sentience is I alone. That is chit, that is aham. In fact, there is no other meaning for aham other than jnanam, chit. That is what is I. That is why all Mahavakyas are possible. Because this I, which is awareness itself, can be equated to that which is the cause of the universe, which is nothing but awareness wearing a hat called overlordship, and the six bhagas that we saw the other day. That is what it is. It's the same awareness, same consciousness, same thing. So how can you even think? How can you even come up with a philosophy Only a Jada Buddhi can come up with the philosophy that the universe, the cause of the universe is Jada. This is all musings about Ishvara. Then the second line is, musings about the nature of the I and the nature of the Jagat. Nature of the I, let us say. Okay? Dukkham. Of course, one is subject to sadness. Naturally, one is subject to sadness. What else is there other than, sadness? Happiness is sometimes, kabhi, it comes. But really speaking, one is sad. Naturally, one is sad. And then what? Another one says, are you out of your mind? The nature of the I is to be happy. That's why one craves this happiness. And a third fellow comes along, and the third fellow says, let us compromise. The third fellow is conflict averse. Okay. So the third fellow says, let us compromise and agree that a little bit of sorrow and a little bit of happiness is what the jiva is. This is what it is, because why, you can see that in your life. This is directly experienced, sometimes sad, sometimes happy. In fact, I went to one seminar somewhere in what was that? Parliament of World Religions. And so some person came and talked and happened to be on the same panel that I was in this seminar. So we had a plenary session. And so then the person talked and said, we are whole. And I quickly sat up. I said, oh, this is very nice. I should listen carefully. Which tradition is this? Some indigenous tradition. We are whole. But my joy was short lived, because the next thing to come out of this person's mouth was, we are broken. And we are simultaneously broken and simultaneously whole. And everybody said, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. So, what do you mean you are broken and you are whole? The two are not, they're not compatible. But a whole philosophy is there. A whole philosophy about which books have been written. And this is, we are broken and we are whole. How is that possible? Are you Humpty Dumpty or what? Humpty Dumpty, how does it go? Sat on the wall and then had a great fall. Humpty Dumpty was whole and then broken. But then here the contention is broken and whole at the same time. So what? Patchwork and full of cracks. Then how, if you are full of cracks, then where is the wholeness? If you are whole, then where is the brokenness? This is not, this is completely incompatible. And so, but there are philosophies which I have heard with my own ears, that this is how they think. In fact, they don't think, but then this is what they this is what they keep advancing. Avidyayamantare vartamanaha. Avidyayamantare vartamanaha. People who are spinning off based on Atma Avidya. This is a spin-off of the original, what is that called? Atma Avidya, self-ignorance. So what do? Swayam Panditaha, Manyamanaha, Panditam Manyamanaha. So the person, is a Panditam Manya. So he thinks that, he or she thinks, I am the best, east or west. I think of myself as the Pandit. Swayam Dhiraha Panditam Manyamanaha. Dandramyamanaha, shaken about by the views of various people, and then keep on changing their view and formulating some kind of nonsensical views which has no proof. Pariyanti mudha. These people go around the world. Pariyanti means they have book tours, lecture tours, and then they book signings and all kinds of things. Such people are the ones who keep writing books all the time. And then and they have a huge following. Now we can add on what is that called? This Twitter, Facebook, and all these other things, and they have social media, and then they keep on disseminating their knowledge to everybody. And then what is the scenario like? Andhena eva niyamanaha yatha andhaha. It is like exactly like the blind leading the blind. If the followers are blind, then there is no problem. If the followers cannot see, poor things we say. But then they should choose a leader who can see. But the poor followers, it's not their fault. Because they can't see, they don't know who can see. The leader bamboozles them and says, "Come with me. I will take you out of this forest of samsara. Come, hold on to me." The leader hides the fact that the leader himself does not have a clue where they are going. And so they go. And then what? The leader falls into a ditch. Terrible ditch. Because, of course, he could not see. Fell into a ditch, and all the followers fell on top of the leader. And then the leader got up, everybody dusted themselves off, and they were all looking for an explanation. "We thought you were leading us." "Yes, but we had a little karma along the way. You needed to exhaust the karma. But you see, my kindness has made it such that I fell first and I cushioned your fall. Oh, Guru, thank you, thank you. How will we find another like you?" And then they start walking again. Hold on, even tighter. The followers say, "This is a true leader." And then the leader who cannot see goes and crashes against a tree. And all the other people, like dominoes, also crash. This is how it goes. This is what it is. And so therefore, this kind of a pontification is extremely useless. It's extremely useless. You find all these things which are which are which go for some kind of a philosophy. And then there are adherents, people who believe that, people who are committed to that. And even within the Vedic tradition, we have what are called darshanas. Darshanas means various viewpoints. And all this is based on that. Satyam Mrisha. Who says Mrisha? Bauddhas. Bauddhas and Shunyavadis. Shunyavadis say Mrisha. Mrisha means this is false. There is the cause of the universe is zero. Then Chid Jadam. This is the various colorations of Sankhya Mata. Sankhya's is a Sankhya philosophy. Dukkham Sukham Va. Again, all this, this Bauddha philosophy and other philosophy, Charvaka included. This is the kind of a thing. Iti Mudha. Mudha it means Vyartha, means useless. Vivadaha. Vivadaha means all kinds of arguments. These are the most useless arguments are based on all these things which nobody knows what they are talking about, yet they get into huge arguments, write books, have adherents and followers, who then feud with other followers. This is what is the state of affairs. Now, where does Vedanta stand? If you ask, Vedanta, they have made part of these 6 darshanas. There are 6 darshanas, ways of looking at this Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara business. And then there is, and Vedanta is supposed to be one of them. So, yoga system of Kapila, and then what else do we have? Jaimani's Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, Vyasa. these are all systems of philosophy. And then this Uttara Mimamsa is Vedanta, really. And then we have Sankhya, all these things. And so, even though they think that Vedanta is one of these ways of looking at it, this is technically really not true. It is not one more look into this subject matter. And thinking of it in this way is doing Vedanta and oneself really a great disservice. This is explained very, very nicely in Gaudapadacharya's Karika to the Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad is a very famous Upanishad, highly regarded Upanishad. And then Adi Shankara's grand guru wrote a commentary in verse called Karika. And there, his book of Karika, there are 4 books. And then the last one is called Allata Shanti Prakarana. The chapter which is called Allata Shanti. Allata is like a very thick incense. And you can use it for worship. And in the ancient times, it was also put right outside the house to drive away mosquitoes and all that, some kind of a herbal thing. It would have citronella and other things. It was like a fat incense. This is called Allata. So if we, if you played with the Allata, you held it by the stick, there is that herbal paste which adheres to a big long stick, and then there is a little 2-3 inches are left to to hold it, and to where there is no herbal paste which has been applied. So you hold it, and then on a dark moonless night like today, Amavasya. So what do? You just draw things. First, you draw a signature. You sign your name in the dark space with a flourish, and you see the orange letters burnt, burnt into the stratosphere. A kind of a sense of accomplishment. Then let us say you draw your whole family, various stick figures you draw. Then you draw your Jagat, your community, the place where you were born, the place where you went to school, your house right now, and then your college. You draw all those things. You have to draw quickly, because especially if you want to connect one thing to another, you have to draw it before the light just goes, and you can you imagine the connections very, very nicely, and then it just completely, just seamlessly, the whole Jagat is there. Then you get very happy with all the things that you are drawing. And like a child, you take it and spin the Allata faster, faster, faster. And then you spin along with it, and it is spinning faster. It has made itself into an endless, limitless spiral. And then what happens? Then suddenly you stop, you get tired and you stop. What happens? All that is there is one glowing tip. It is this glowing tip that has been responsible for this Allata Jagat. Allata Jagat means this Jagat made of just light. Very beautiful, visualization, because of course the Jagat is just light because it is sentient. It is, it is consciousness. It has the presence of consciousness. And so this light, this whole Jagat that you have drawn, including you, the holder of this, you are that light. You are holding that light. And you are creating this whole universe of names and forms and names and forms and names and forms. Your whole world is there. And the world of other people is there that you intersect with. And then when it all stops, when the show stops, then what happens? Then all there is one tip, one single tip, one glowing tip that is not moving, that is constant, endowed with limitless capacity to create nama rupas. And in this Allata Shanti Prakarna, Gaudapada Acharya makes short shrift of all the Vadas. This he starts with this Chidvada, Jadavada, and and then what else? Satyavadins and these Mrishavadins. He just very small, very easy to understand couplets. And the next class I will, bring you some of them. We can read and enjoy, because that is what these verses are based on. Very, very beautiful. And so he talks about this, and he says, they are okay in their own place. They are okay because of their fear. They built this religion or this system of beliefs based on the fear. And then these other people, they were confused about whatever it was, and then they thought that maybe they feel inert themselves, and maybe they are very tamasic, and so they feel very inert and so they said the cause of the universe is inert. And then so, but you see, he says something which is very beautiful. He says all these are valid. Vedanta is not one of them, because Vedanta is not in the ring trying to prove itself or trying to disprove anybody else. There is no disparaging, there is no disproving, there is no one-upmanship. There is just a waiting and a watching. There is a lot of witnessing. This is Vedanta. And a lot of accommodation. This too is Vedanta. Vedanta means zero subjectivity. So you are able, as it were, to enter objectively into the world of another belief, another kind of a philosophy, whatever it is, other than your own, and say, this thing looks interesting. And why is this interesting? Because it is based on certain fears. I can see how they went there. I can see why they would feel this way. So this is what the Vedanta is not. Vedantin is not one more fighter or wrestler in the ring. Nothing to prove, nothing to disprove. You can see where these philosophies originate from, where these religions come from, what their views are. And in the case of certain things, it's very, very clear how it comes. Whenever you have an interaction with the world, let us say, you see there is a lot of sorrow, there is war, there is strife, there is all kinds of things. So naturally, it doesn't take long to come to the conclusion that yes, maybe the world is a sad place. So we can appreciate that this is what is a point of view. A point of view is valid as long as it's not mistaken for the view. That is the difference between a view and a point of view. A view is that which is able to see the point of view, but then it transcends the point of view. So the point of view, one can, you can see, you can appreciate it. You can appreciate the point of view. If you are firmly abiding in the view. And what is the view? Look at the last word of line number 3, Niraham Pratitihi. The cognition of oneself as just Shuddha Chaitanya, without the overlay of the ahankara attached to its raga, dvesha, fears, tears, its people, its things, its possessions, all that. This is the Niraham Pratiti. And when there is Niraham Pratiti, Adrishta Lokaha. Adrishta means Nadrishta. They are not, it's almost like they are not seeing. They are not seeing. Lokaha means all these viewpoints. You are able to allow them to be. You don't have a pressure to shut them down. You don't have a pressure to go and get into the, you don't to, uh, you don't have a pressure to try to get into the ring with them and convince them of the errors of their ways. No. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says as much. The Lord says exactly the same thing. He says, Na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnaninam karma sangina. So people, let's say they are doing something. Some people are always doing something. So let's say they are, doing some whatever, getting ahead in life and doing their work, etc. Karma sangi. So the person he addicted to their job, a workaholic, who perhaps doesn't know the truth of the self, perhaps has no idea what this niraham pratiti is, perhaps doesn't know that. Don't try to say whatever you're doing is wrong. You need to stop doing this, and you need to come and listen to the talks, and you have to do this. And this, don't do this. This is called buddhi bheda. Unasked for, this knowledge is not given at all. This is not an evangelizing tradition. There is no pressure to make everybody into a Vedantin. If you are a Vedantin, if you want to be a Vedantin, fine. But if you want to be Vedant out, we respect that too. Vedantin means in Vedanta. Okay. So we respect that too. We don't have any problem with this. And all this Gaudapadacharya talks about. And he says that that we are so this because we are not interested in what the world is doing. We are not interested in what the other people are doing. Vedanta is an inside job. What are the things that are wrong in the way I am looking at myself, which is causing me sorrow? What are the things that are wrong in the way that I'm looking at the universe and at the Lord, Goddess, whatever it is? And this is what has to be corrected. And that correction itself is Vedanta. And when that correction takes place, then, three things happen. One is aham pratiti is not there. Aham pratiti means an ahankara that is given to all kinds of misidentification is not there. Nirgata aham pratitihi yasya sa nishtha. So this aham, niraham pratitihi is qualifying this nishtha. There is nishtha, yeah. What kind of nishtha? Avikalpa nishtha. Avidyamanaha vikalpaha yasya sa nishtha. A nishtha in which there is no this or that, no, options. The more you know, the fewer the options. Then there is no problem in decision making because there is no options. What option is there? Should I know myself or should I not know myself? Is there an option? If all the suffering is because of Atma Gyanam, should I know myself? Should I not know myself? What kind of a talk is this? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So the more you know, the less there are options. And so therefore, this, so avikalpa nishtha, avidyamanaha vikalpaha, yasya sa nishtha, niraham pratitihi, nirgata aham pratitihi, yasya sa. This is all qualifying nishtha. And then, what else? Adrishta loka. न दृष्टः लोकः यत्र सा निष्ठा यस्यां निष्ठायां न दृष्टः लोकः यस्यां निष्ठायां. How भिन्नतया. So you don't see it as other than yourself. So nadrishtaha lokaha means where you are not worried about what are people doing, what are people saying. You are able to accommodate, like, okay, this is where the person is. You take the person where they are. You relate to the person where they are, not where you want them to be. That want is also not there. I want everybody to have Vedanta. Why? you know, this is a sure, what should I say, recipe for sorrow. I want everybody to learn Vedanta. Why? Why should they learn Vedanta? You want to learn, you learn. That is what it is. And so here, in this Allata Shanti Prakarna, he says, Gaudapadacharya says, we can sit outside the ring and sip some tea. Why? Because we need not be worried about these vivadas, these vadas, we need not be worried about. We need not be subsumed by them. We need not be afraid that they are going to come and take over. Why? Because they will fight each other out, get tired, and then go to sleep. Then again, from those ashes, some other vadas and vivadas will rise, and then what? They will fight it out amongst themselves and then go off to sleep or get tired and just go to rest. This is how the whole world is. The whole world is cut up into vadas and vivadas. But you, who is the holder of that incense stick? All you see is that glow. Adrishta loka. What happened to all the lokas? Adrishta. Adrishta loka. In which nishtha? In abiding as that tip. You don't see anything other than you. If you draw a whole universe of arguing people, that is also an extension of you. Let it all be there. I have nothing to do with this because, I have other things that, my focus is on getting rid of ignorance. That is basically what it is. We'll stop here and take any questions that are there, and then we will meet. This class will meet again on Monday. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ Arpan, did you get an answer to your question or would you like to ask it now?
I think I'm clear about it. It was just that I think it was that void that you answered it nicely now. It's
Good.
basically the void versus chit.
Yes, yeah. No void. Yeah. we avoid the void. Yeah. So chit is you. Any other questions?
Swamiji, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
I would like just to know when this is all centered.
You have to speak up a little bit because I don't hear you very well.
Okay. I'll make this a little louder. You hear me better now?
Slightly.
Oh, maybe there's some. Oh, wait a minute. I take this off. Now it's better?
Try now.
Yeah? It's better now?
Yeah, try. Yeah, tell me.
No, my question is, what is with bhakti when we are so centered on getting rid of ignorance? So what is with bhakti? Oh, I don't know what's wrong with my computer.
I heard what is bhakti.
Yeah.
You mean what is the role of bhakti in Atma Gyanam?
Yes.
Okay. That is, he will also talk about it, I think. But bhakti is what's the word for it? Ananya bhakti is what we want. Ananya bhakti is a bhakti that is non-separate from oneself. That where we look at the object, which is, the what we used to think as the object, God, as nothing but the subject, oneself. So it is a bhakti where we want to get that oneness. So it is a bhakti that where one does not look upon the object of devotion as something other than oneself. That is what is called Jnani Bhakta. The Gita talks about 4 stages or 4 types of bhakti, 4 types of devotion. First, it is a desperate devotion. You approach prayer and other ways of devotion only when you are terribly desperate. You don't know what to do, and then therefore you want devotion. And then so it's almost like God is on speed dial, and then it's an emergency number, like calling police and calling 911. So that is that is what it is. You are still a bhakta, but you are a emergency bhakta. And then the second type of bhakti talked about in the Bhagavad Gita is Artha Bhakti. Artha means somebody, yeah, this is the first type, sorry, this is the desperate devotee, a desperate devotee. Then Artharthi. Artharthi means the one who is, making deals with God. And these people in India love to do. And people will say, "Oh, mother, give me a wonderful job and I'll present you with a wonderful sari with a gold border." As though the Divine Mother is waiting for your sari with a gold border. This is what it is. But, where you bribe, this kind of a thing, where you want to do this. And then this is the second kind of bhakti. And then the third one is what is called Jignasu Bhakti. Jignasa means the desire to know who are you. I don't want anything else from you other than to know who you are. And then finally it evolves into Jnani Bhakti. And the Bhakti of a Jnani means the one who says, "I am none other than you." So from the standpoint of the body, mind, sense complex, there is a separation, but otherwise, cognitively, there is no separation. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you, Swami. Thank
All
you.
right. See you all on Monday. The weekend classes are there. We have, what is that, Bhashya class, Taittiriya Bhashya class, and then Sanskrit tomorrow and day after. Om Purnamadah Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Amma.
Happy day, happy weekend. Om Om.
Oh,